We are at a point where we have to make a choice as a continent. That, as you have observed, we have a growing population. We are urbanizing very quickly. We have pressing challenges, climate, unemployment, and many other things. And as you've said, one tendency is to think about our young population as a problem, which indeed it could be, unless we make the right choices. And I'm sure that part of the reason we are here is to really emphasize the need to make the right choices on behalf of our young generation. And indeed, I do agree with you that with our young population, thinking of it in terms of what is happening around our world, we talk about demographic divergence, where a part of our world is growing old, and a part of our world, which is where we are, is relatively young. And therefore, when we talk about our young people, part of what needs to happen, a mind switch globally, where we begin to see our young people anywhere as a global good that we need to all invest in collectively, because they are going to be needed not just here in Africa, but across our entire world. So our young people here today, they are indeed the future that we must all invest in as we go forward. Now, in terms of the choices we are going to have to make, we are told that Africa every year forfeits up to $700 billion, $700 US billion in potential revenue because we continue to export our wealth unprocessed, unbeneficiated. The Africa Development Bank also tells us that 45 out of 54 African countries remain structurally trapped in commodity dependence, where new raw primary materials account for over 60% of their total export portion. So if we think today, as we launch our month of reflection, upgraded from a week, and as you say, we need to be talking about science every day. So as we launch to a month of reflection and showcasing science, we must reflect on the choices we are making to capitalize on the opportunities we have and to guide against the risks. We must particularly, resolutely, strongly choose knowledge-based, science-led economies to drive our future. But if that's what we must do, then we have to think carefully about what has been called the African innovation gap. And particularly, as you have alluded to, Professor, the whole area of investing in research and development. So, a key reason for why we continue to export raw materials is the fact that the continent lags in indigenous technology patents, industrial software, and metallurgy expertise required to operate advanced refineries and processing plants in Africa. Later on, as Minister Savannah would know, everywhere I go, I talk about energy as part of the equation, and I'll come back to that. But first of all is the expertise that we need to invest in. We just have not invested in enough science and in science and technology to garner the expertise that we need to derive value from the resources that we have. We are told that as a result of this state of affairs, Africa contributes only 1% to global research, with most countries investing less than 0.5% of GDP in research and development. For Eswatini, Honorable Minister, the figure is even smaller. It stands at 0.27%. This is something we absolutely have to change. And the result is that we leave our universities underfunded, laboratories unequipped, and innovation stifled. The African Union has for a long time set a target for member states to invest 1% of their GDP, and I think that is too modest still. Yet, we are not reaching that 1%. The continental average remains between 0.4 and 0.5%. Now, compare this to, say, the United States of America, where we are at 2.6%, or Europe at 3.5%, and other countries at between 2 and 3%. So this disparity is also reflected at the regional level here in the SADC region. Within this region, excluding South Africa, most member states spend less than 0.3% of their GDP on research. Again, leaving research, as you have said, Honorable Minister, highly reliant on external financing. Here in Eswatini, again, the World Bank records domestic research and development expenditure at just 0.27%. To look at another quick indicator, patenting activity. This is equally low in Africa, with Africa registering less than 5,000 patents, residential patents, we must clarify, patents by residents, only 5,000 annually in Africa. And while we aspire to become like the rising tigers of Asia, where they have been producing about 600,000 patents a year. So compare 5,000 annually in Africa to 600,000 in Asian countries. Of course, a huge part of that coming from only China going forward. So, as I conclude, I want to mention again, as you have done, Honorable Minister, technology and AI governance. That emerging technologies, especially artificial intelligence, bring immense opportunities, but also risks. The Global Digital Compact, which was part of the Summit of the Future in 2023, reminds us that technology must be people-centered, inclusive, and bias-free. So Eswatini and the SADC region must actively participate in global AI governance to protect data sovereignty, curb disinformation, and ensure online safety. And in this regard, I do strongly hope, Honorable Ministers present, that you are aware of the upcoming dialogue on AI governance that is happening in Geneva in July, that we should be strongly represented in this dialogue because it's going to be consequential in terms of how we agree collectively as a world, how we are going to govern AI. I want to conclude with 6 policy suggestions. Number 1, for the SADC region, if we could operationalize the SADC Regional Development Fund innovation window. I know this is being discussed, but we need to infuse it with urgency. We need to move much faster than we are doing so that we can capture this opportunity for our young people. Number 2, creating incentives for private research and development investment. I do know there are captains of industry in the room. I wish there were, I could see more, I can see a few. I wish they were right here at the front as well, paying attention to this conversation. We need to get our private sector involved in research and development in order to power innovation. Number 3, a national research endowment fund. by perhaps using some of the suggestions that have already been made elsewhere, ring fencing just a small fraction of resources generated from, for example, our natural wealth. Just a percentage of that to create research endowment funds in our countries would go a long way. Number four, and here I come again, Honorable Minister Mazia, accelerate clean energy and regional power integration. Again to say, without the energy, STEM, science, innovation has no legs to stand on. So we must increase our energy sufficiency, both here in Eswatini, within the region, SADC region, so that we can indeed push forward with science and technology. Number five, investing in early education, early childhood education. We must create curiosity in science at a very early stage in the education process of our children so that they begin to get used to the idea of science and technology. Finally, number six is the idea of strengthening the relationship between the academy and industry. Vice Chancellor Twala, I want to believe that the proximity between the university and the Matsapa industrial complex is not just a geographical coincidence. At least it should not be. We must bring the academy and industry much closer together as a way of creating practical pathways where innovation finds practical expression in industry, but also in fusion of ideas across board in terms of what the market requires, what industry requires in terms of education. So in conclusion, distinguished guests, honorable ministers, science and innovation are ultimately about people. Their true value lies in solving challenges and expanding opportunities and improving lives. Countries that invest in knowledge and human potential build more resilient and prosperous societies. For Eswatini and for the region, this is an opportunity to harness the creativity of our young people and ensure scientific progress drives national development. On behalf of the United Nations in Eswatini, I want to pledge our continued support to His Majesty's government and all the endeavors of the country in this regard. Together, we can ensure that science, technology, and innovation empower every young person and strengthen Eswatini's future. Siyambonga kakhulu.